Okay, so I have been getting asked about this constantly in the last 2 weeks in my DMs, in my coaching communities, inside of Elevate. Everybody wants to know what AI tools I'm using, how I'm using them, whether they should be switching from ChatGPT to Claude. And I've been a little slow to talk about this publicly. First of all, because I've just been really busy with a lot of different things, but also because I wanted to make sure that I actually knew enough about it, about what I was talking about before I got on a mic and told you something random, because that's just not how I do things. I don't like to share stuff if I haven't actually experienced it at a level where I feel confident about. So today we're getting into all of that, what I use, why I use it, and how I basically switched from ChatGPT to Claude in less than 20 minutes and was sold in less than 20 minutes. Now, I will tell you that I am still using chat, but we're going to get to that inside of this episode. So this is going to be, how to get started, some basics for you as well. If you are on the fence, you have questions, and I'm going to give you some actual steps, not just some vague advice. I just wanted to touch on this because it is a very hot topic right now. So let's get into it.
Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we blend rock solid tips with a little bit of magic. I'm Renee Bowen, your host, life and business coach, and professional photographer at your service. We are all about getting creative, diving into your business, and playing with manifestation over here. So, are you ready to get inspired and have some fun? Let's dive in.
Hello, I'm Renee. If you're new here, I am the host of Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, and I'm super excited to have you here. If this is your first time listening, I am a luxury senior portrait and branding photographer based out of Los Angeles, and I'm also a certified life and business coach, NLP practitioner, and hypnosis practitioner, and apparently now your AI person, which I did not see coming, but here we are. And if you're new here, you picked a good episode to start with, because my show is really about building a business that actually feels like yours, that feels like freedom, to be honest with you. It's a combination of strategy, mindset, a little woo, but neuroscience at the end of the day, but zero fluff. Okay, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything. The first thing you have to know is that I have been using ChatGPT since the day it was announced. Like the minute it was announced, I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to find out. Not because I'm a super techie person. Like I wouldn't call myself extremely techie. I like it. I have an affinity for it, but I really, would not classify myself as a tech person. But I wanted to know what it was. I felt like it was going to be a game changer. And I at least wanted to know what it was going to be doing, how it worked. Like I just needed to have that information. So I started using ChatGPT right out the gate. And before long, I started using it for pretty much everything as far as like admin goes in my business, because I am a solopreneur. Like most of you guys listening, I don't have like a massive team of people helping me run this business. And even though I do have a couple of people assisting me, really it's all on me at the end of the day. And so how can I make my day easier and more efficient is kind of something I'm always thinking about. And you guys know I'm really big on outsourcing when you can. Definitely, creating systems and automations and things like that. Those are really, really important as a business owner. So I do talk about that a lot. And I saw AI as kind of the perfect fit for that, honestly. So I definitely still use ChatGPT, but I don't use it in the same way that I had been using it for the last like 3 years, essentially. It came out like late 2023, I believe. But yeah, so I primarily use it now for deep research. I really like to go deep on certain topics. And so I do find that it's good for that. I have created a few of my own like custom GPTs. So I still am using those, and like a couple of those, like a Senior Sunday for high school senior photographers. That still works really, really, really well. So if you're still using ChatGPT and you have Senior Sunday, it is a really amazing custom GPT to help you with your senior marketing. I still get comments and DMs all the time from senior photographers telling me how awesome that has been for them, truly. So I dipped my feet into using Claude a little bit in 2024, December 2024, because I had heard some people prefer it for writing, all that kind of stuff. And when I used it and I paid for it for, I think it was like 2 months. And it just didn't impress me. Like I was like, okay, you know what? I kind of like ChatGPT more. I can see where Claude could do some things better, but I wasn't sold on it. And I was like, I'm not going to be paying for two. So I just canceled it and went back to ChatGPT. And then in February of this year, everybody started talking about moving to Claude for all kinds of reasons. And really, people started talking about co-work and Claude Code and all of these cool things that they were doing automated within the system, which I really like because you've been able to automate AI for a while, right? But you would have to connect it to lots of different things. You have to use something like Lovable, or there's a lot of different programs, platforms that you can use and also pay for to connect, right, your ChatGPT with your systems and like your CRM, your email, all of these different things. And for me, in my capacity and really what I want to spend my energy on, I just really never wanted to deal with any of that. So I kind of kept it pretty simple. But then I kind of started hearing that Claude Cowork specifically could do all of these things. So I was like, okay, I need to kind of figure out what's going on here. And a roadblock for me was that I was really deep into ChatGPT. Like I use it all the time. So how am I going to just get a whole new platform to know me right out the gate, take all my conversations? Like, that seemed really daunting. But I was like, you know what? I got to try this. I have to try it because everyone is talking about it. And I feel like I just need to jump in and just throw myself into the fire. That's kind of how I do things. So when you do that, and I'll walk you through this in just a second, switching over, it was so much easier than I thought. Like it wasn't a roadblock at all. It was just a self-perceived roadblock. Um, in reality, it took me less than like 2 minutes to do it. And Claude just nailed my voice. So I'm going to walk you guys through that as well. Because really the coolest thing, I think Claude has a lot of cool things. I really love skills. This is the thing that I'm kind of most excited about right now. So the short version is that skills are custom AI tools that you can build inside of Claude that are trained on your specific content, your voice, your frameworks. They're not generic. And you can use multiple ones at the same time. So they're kind of like custom GPTs, but you can use multiple ones together. And I'll get into this in just a little bit, like what that actually means. But I've been converting my custom GPTs into Claude skills. And we're going to talk about what that means and how that all works in just a second, because that was just like the bigger picture. So now let's start talking about what this actually really looks like in my day as of now, as of this recording, because it is moving fast. The tech is moving fast, and I'm also in it a lot. So 2-3 weeks from now, I could have a more robust answer for you too. All right. So the first thing to understand about Claude is projects. Projects, we have them in ChatGPT as well. The projects inside of Claude are basically dedicated workspaces. Okay. So think of each project as a container that holds all of the context, the documents, the history for a specific area of your business. So when you're inside of a project, Claude remembers everything in that container, and it knows what you're working on. It knows the relevant docs. It knows the history of your conversations about that topic. Okay. So I have some different projects for a lot of different things. And one of them that I'll kind of share with you is I have one for my podcast. So the only thing that I have help with my podcast right now is that I have my husband doing the editing, and that's it. I basically do every other thing for my podcast. And I need a system like this, like I'm going to share with you guys, so that it makes that whole process just so much faster and so much easier for me, because I would have to pay a human to do this. So all of my episode planning, my transcripts, content repurposing, all of that lives in one place. And Claude has context every time I come back to it. I also have projects for each of my coaching students. So when I'm like prepping for a session of theirs or like helping them with a specific thing, as far as like maybe their pricing, coming up with their strategic marketing plan, all of that as well. I can use AI to help me because I have a lot of different one-on-one students. I also run a group. I need to remember where everyone is, right? And I'm just one human with one brain. So this helps me stay on track with like understanding where each person is at. And it's all sort of like held together. So I'm not starting from scratch every time. I also have projects for my blog content or my blog repurposing, which I'll talk to you guys about, which I just built like the most insane skill for this, for my emails and for my courses, because I'm reworking some of my material. So it's helping me keep track with all of that as well. So the difference that this makes for me is really kind of hard to overstate. Before I had this set up, every single AI session was me doing like the same thing over and over again, right? So like if you're still using AI where you sort of have to start from scratch each time, there's a much better way. Okay. So now when I walk into a project and Claude already knows, like I can just get straight to work. And I also have some scheduled tasks running within some of those projects. And I'll talk about that and how to set that up because I think those are truly a game changer. Scheduled tasks let you set up recurring prompts that Claude Cowork just runs automatically on a schedule. And that's where it really starts to feel like you have an actual assistant or a few of them. So, an example of how I use a scheduled task, one of them is that I have a morning scheduled task, right? So, every morning I have it running for 8 a.m. and Claude sends me a structured check in because I've programmed it, basically told it what I wanted it to do. And I've connected it to my email, to my Google Drive. You can connect Claude to various aspects of your business so that it can make all of this much more seamless. Okay. So it prompts me to think about, okay, what do I actually have on the calendar for this day? It gives me a framework to start my day with intention rather than just sort of like opening my laptop and reacting to whatever is the loudest. So, for those of you with ADHD brains or just creative brains in general that get scattered, this is kind of a game changer because the number one problem with productivity for creative entrepreneurs is not that you're lazy, it's that gap between intention and action. You know what you need to do, and you might even like get super excited. How many times have you like had a new idea for something at like 11 o'clock at night, got so excited about it, maybe even bought the domain, and then the next day you can't get your brain to actually cooperate to get started on that? That's a problem. So scheduled tasks can really help you bridge that gap and hack your spicy brain. You can build a system that checks in with you, gives you exactly what you need, prompts you even, and keeps you on track without you having to remember to do it. First of all, you don't have to press a button. It just is there, done. It's done for you. And this is really because I was using prompts for this before, right? So I have like these really awesome prompts for our spicy brains. I call it the procrastination killer, basically. And it's a great prompt. And a lot of people really love it. You can actually build that into a scheduled task inside of Claude so that when you open your computer or you sit down at it, it's already done and it's waiting for you. So you really don't even have to do anything. You just have to like sit down and you can build it in a way. Again, you have to know your brain for this and you have to know like what makes you tick sort of thing, but you can build it in a way where it challenges you in only a way that is going to get you to actually get the ball rolling. Okay. It's actually really been such a game changer for a lot of my students for their productivity, especially those with ADHD or brains like that. And I'm also working on building this in a little bit more robust way as a skill for you guys so that you can just upload it to your own Claude as well. So stay tuned for that. So Claude skills, I want to talk about this really quickly. Skills are essentially, like I said, custom AI tools that are built inside of Claude, and they're trained on specific content, your voice, your frameworks, your brand, your style, and they function like a specialized assistant for a specific task. So for example, I had a Senior Sunday GPT that I was just talking about, right? Like the Senior Sunday custom GPT that I built in ChatGPT is built on all of my years and years and years of marketing and coaching. And it is specifically for helping senior photographers come up with and create content in general, blogs, social content, all of it. It's so good for ideas as well. I made that a skill. I converted that into a Claude skill. So if you own the ChatGPT, the Senior Sunday GPT, you should have access now. You should have gotten an email from me sharing how to access the skill. Super easy, by the way, but there is a little set of instructions for you to walk you through how to create that, how to upload it into your own Claude. But it's built specifically for senior photographers and it's built for that marketing content. So what's really cool about this is that if you use the Senior Sunday custom GPT, it is going to give you great results because it's built upon everything that I programmed it with. Like it really is designed to give you really good results. However, when you use any custom GPT that you get from someone else, it's not taking into account your brand voice, your messaging, and all of that, right? Unless you upload your brand book every time to that thread and tell it to take it into consideration. With Claude, it just knows because you've already put that into Claude and it lives there as part of its skills. So my first recommendation to everyone is that if you have not created a brand book, if you have not created a document that contains everything about your business, I just walked all of my senior sprint students through building a very, very in-depth brand book that talks about your why, your purpose, your foundation. And I do that in a very specific way. I'm not talking about your photography why. I'm talking about your true sense of purpose, who that target client is. And again, very fleshed out. Then we build messaging on top of that. We build your brand voice on top of that. I mean, we go super deep in all of this. And then I had them build a brand book. And your brand book should also contain like pieces of your writing. You can also put your human design in there, like every single thing that makes you and makes your voice come alive and resonant to your target client. Everything needs to be in there. And it needs to be in a .md file. So the thing to really think about this is, especially with skills, yes, you can upload PDFs to any, AI platform, but they don't read PDFs as detailed as they read .md files or text files. So if you can create your brand book, I have a great template for it. It's a Google Doc. I'll put it in the show notes below for you guys if you want to grab it. And you can even use your AI to help you fill it out. You really got to go deep though. So if you really haven't done the deeper work of your foundation, like your true sense of purpose, it's not going to be as connected as if you do. So definitely put that work in. But if you create this brand book, okay, and it's a doc, let's say it's in your Google Docs, like mine, you need to download it as a .md file. And then from there, you go into your skills inside of Claude. You click the plus sign inside of skills, and you just add your brand book as a skill. And you tell Claude, you can just open up a regular thread too. And you can just add that document to a regular chat thread and say, hey, I want to include my brand book here as a skill. Walk me through that. And it'll just do it in like 30 seconds. So you can build a skill incredibly fast, and you can build skills for anything. I will say that I have been going down the rabbit hole of how many skills is too many skills on Claude, because I saw someone the other day who was like selling 200 skills, and I was like, okay, that's probably too many. And I think that, from what I could find out online and from feedback from a lot of people who've been using Claude for a while, it's like, yeah, you don't want to like just add a bunch of random skills. You want to make sure the skills that you do add, if you do purchase some as well from other people, you want to make sure that they are good and that they're relevant to what you need help for. So the cool thing about it is that if you just open like a regular chat thread and you ask it, let's say you've got my Senior Sunday skill and you've got your brand book as a skill and you've got my blog repurposing skill, right? So let's just say you've got those and some other skills uploaded to your Claude, and you go into a regular thread and you're like, hey, I am burnt out. I don't have anything in me today. I am exhausted. I need to create some content on the fly. I have not posted, whatever. Like you're just at the end of your rope. Okay. And you just need some ideas and you need it to be good. You want to like maybe start with a blog, whatever it is. All you have to do is type in, give me my blog content, and it will literally do all of that for you because it's going to pull in the right skills. You can also tell it use these skills, but you usually do not have to tell it that. It just knows. So it'll pull in Senior Sunday, it'll pull in the blog repurposing, it'll pull in your brand book for sure, because it needs to make sure it's in your voice. And then you'll have a complete system of here's the key phrase that you should be using. Here's the SEO title as well for the blog. Here's the entire blog written with the specifications that I built that blog repurposing tool for the skill. So it's got AI SEO built into it so that you can actually build a blog that AI is going to find. That's a whole different podcast. We'll get to that at some point. But AI search is changing everything, you guys. So we definitely need to talk about that at some point on the podcast. But it's going to build out the blog post, the meta description. It's going to give you related keywords. And then it's also going to spit out a whole bunch of different social posts based on this blog, like based on this theme and topic in a spreadsheet that you can copy and paste, or you can hook it up to your Notion or whatever database that you have so that it's all done seamlessly and you have it ready to copy and paste into everything. You can run this once a month, twice a month, once a week, and then you can set up a recurring task, a scheduled task, so that it just does it for you if you like. It's kind of amazing. Okay. So the capabilities of Claude right now are, I think, off the charts amazing compared to what ChatGPT is doing. Now, I don't think for a second that OpenAI isn't working on something like this. Like, I am not going to be surprised if they come out with some sort of crazy huge update for ChatGPT pretty soon. So just stay tuned for that. But right now, at the time of this recording, this is late March. I think this show will probably come out like the 1st of April. This is where we're at. And Claude and Claude Cowork are just the way to go in general. I'm going to walk you guys through how to get started in 2 seconds. But like for my podcast workflow that I have a skill built for. So I have a podcast workflow skill and I have a podcast project. So all I have to do is, first of all, I'll take the transcript. Say I have a guest, right? So I'll take the transcript from that episode and then just add it to a chat thread and say, give me my podcast workflow. Or I can just say podcast workflow. I don't even have to say give me. I just put those trigger words in there and it gives me a list of 10 things. So the entire blog, the key phrase, the right way to write the blog for AI search, quotes from my guest that they said so I can use in marketing. It's also going to pull out timestamps for where to grab the right kind of content for the promos. It does everything. An email that I can send to my list, an email that I can send to my guests that they can send to their list. It just spits out literally everything that I need from that transcript. It's just done. So the reason I'm telling you all of this, honestly, is not just to like brag about my setup, because like, trust me, I'm not even using it to its fullest degree. Truly, I'm not. But this is where AI kind of stops being just like a novelty and a chat bot, really, and it starts really being a part of your business system. Because when you build tools that are trained on you, your voice, your niche, your frameworks, you stop fighting AI to sound like you. You start actually leveraging it in your business. And I'm actually building a suite of these skills specifically for photographers, not just senior photographers, but photographers in general and creative entrepreneurs, people with spicy ADHD brains, so that it will just make your life easier. All you have to do is grab them, upload them, and you're ready. So that's going to be available soon. It'll go out to my students first as sort of a beta. So if you're interested in that, just make sure you're on my list. The link is in the show notes. Okay, so let's talk about actually getting your data out of ChatGPT into Claude. This was like I said, this was like the biggest roadblock for me. I was like, oh my God, I don't have time for this. I did. I had time for it. It was really not hard. Made it a lot harder in my mind, as we often do. Okay, so even if you're not ready to fully make the switch and you just want to check this out, just this is how to do it. So your conversation history is a gold mine of your own voice, your thinking patterns, the questions you ask, the content you've already created with AI. So you go to ChatGPT, click on your profile picture or icon in the bottom left corner and go to the settings. Go into your data controls, and you're going to see an option that says export data. Click that, confirm your email, and ChatGPT is going to send you a download link within a few minutes. And what you'll get is a zip file. And inside that zip file is your entire conversation history in a format called JSON, JSON. Don't let that scare you. You don't need to understand the code. And it's also an HTML file that you can actually open in a browser and read like a normal document. So you can open the HTML file and open it and scroll through it. You can try and pull out conversations where you produced content that you really liked, developed ideas. Like you can audit it basically. Like mainly if you feel like, yes, everything is good and I just want to send all of it to Claude, do that. But what I'm saying is you can also audit it and then send only what you want. Okay. So when you go into Claude.ai, you sign up if you don't already have an account. You can do the free version, but I highly suggest doing the $20 a month pro plan. I know that feels like one more subscription, but if you're running a business and you're using AI as a real tool, the free plan is you're going to run out of tokens. It's going to frustrate you pretty quickly. So Pro gives you access to the full model, and it gives you access to co-work, which is where most of the good stuff happens. It also gives you more usage. And more importantly, it gives you projects and the ability to upload documents and files, which is the whole foundation of what I'm about to kind of walk you guys through. So $20 a month. A lot of people are saying, first of all, let me just tell you that a lot of people are saying, oh my God, I can't even do a lot with the $20 a month version. I have to go to the $100 a month version. That has not been the case for me, and I've been using this pretty religiously. So there are different versions, just like in ChatGPT. If you go and you'll see, like in the little chat box, it'll tell you what version and what kind of what model you're using. You want to use Sonnet for most everything because it's not going to use as many tokens as like Opus or their extended deeper thinking models. So you do want to be intentional about how you're using it so that you're just not like eating up a whole bunch of tokens on stupid stuff. And I think that's a good thing. I think that part of using AI is understanding how to use it as ethically as possible. And that's another reason why I wanted to switch to Claude, is because I do believe Anthropic as a company is doing a better job of that. They even hired a philosopher as one of their, team members to really build more humanity and, just values into it truly. And I'm telling you, sometimes I'll go into chat and I'll ask it the same thing as I ask Claude. I'm getting two different answers. And if you've noticed the new update on ChatGPT, it keeps you in this weird loop. I cannot stand this update. At the end of it, it might give you a decent answer, but in the end of it, it'll say, if you want, I'll give you 10 more reasons, blah, 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 blah. And it's going to make this even better. I'm like, well, why didn't you just give that to me the first time? And it keeps doing it and it keeps doing it. So like every output you get, it's like, if you want, I'll give you this now. And it's like, that's gross. First of all, just give me what I asked you for and stop keeping me in this loop. ChatGPT at this point anyway will never ask you to get off of its platform. It's going to keep you in it, keep you on it. It's like social media. It wants you there all the time. Claude will actually tell you, you need to go take a break. You've been on this for a long time. Like, I think it was a couple of nights ago, I was working really deeply on something and I was getting a little frustrated with myself, not with it, but I was just like, I was tired and I was having a hard time sort of like, forming a thought. And I use Whisper Flow as like, because I talk into my AI, so I can just kind of talk in the stream of consciousness. And Whisper Flow is amazing because it just like takes my garbled mess of verbiage and makes it sound intelligent. But even that was I was having a hard time with. And Claude was like, I forget exactly what it said, but it was like, it sounds like you really need to get some rest. How about we pick this back up in the morning? And I was like, ChatGPT could never. So there's a lot of reasons why I prefer Claude. I'm just going to tell you. So even if you don't have a ton of data in ChatGPT, let's say you haven't been using it for that long or that in depth, you can still grab what ChatGPT knows about you very quickly from it. And Claude actually walks you through this process. So if you go into your settings on Claude and you go into capabilities, you're going to see at the top, it'll say memory, right? Generate memory from chat history. You want to make sure those two things are turned on. Search and reference chats is turned on. Generate memory from chat history is turned on. And you'll see that you can actually click memory from your chats and you can like expand that and you can add to it and you can audit whatever that says. That's basically how you're telling Claude what you want it to remember about you every time. And then right underneath that, it says import memory from other AI providers. All you do is click start import. It's going to spit out a little prompt. You go and paste that into a chat thread at ChatGPT. It's going to spit something out. Again, you can revise that, change it, add to it if you want, and then you just paste it into Claude and you're done. So for me, I didn't even, when I first started using Claude, I didn't even export my full history. I just did that. I just had it, I did copy paste from Claude to chat and I put it back into Claude and it knew me. And this was even before I uploaded my brand book. I had it do a couple things very quickly to see how it would write. I had it write me a blog post, I believe it was, and then create a couple pieces of social content just because I kind of wanted to see what it could do. And my jaw was on the ground. I was like, how does it know that? I was truly shocked. So if you literally, that will take you 30 seconds. It's that easy. Okay, so there is a browser version of Claude, and then there's one that you download as a desktop app. And that's the one that you really want to be using because that's where you can use Cowork and Code. I don't know if you're going to want to ever use Code. It is pretty amazing, but Cowork is pretty awesome. So what you want to do is download that and have it as a standalone app on your computer so that you can do all of the things that I've been talking about, like running scheduled tasks and having, basically Cowork is where you can create agents that actually will go and, do things for you. And so when you do that, when you open the interface of the app, that standalone app, at the top of the screen, you're going to see a little box that says chat, a box in the middle that says Cowork, and a box on the right that says code. You can work in chat, you can work in Cowork. Cowork is really where you can give it access to documents. We'll talk about that in a second, so that it can actually act as more of like an agent. But a lot of the work that you're going to be doing is inside of just the regular chat. Okay. So what you want to do is create your project, and you can create projects in chat. You can also create them in Cowork, and you can also take projects that you created in the chat and bring over to Cowork. So let's just say you created a project for your blogs, for your socials, repurposing, whatever, in the regular Claude chat. And then you decide later, I want to create a project in Cowork to do this automatically for me. You can do that. You can just pull it in. It's that easy. So you don't have to start from scratch. But your first project really should be like your brand or like a content project, right? Something, whatever area of your business that you produce the most content for, that's going to take something off your plate. So first of all, make a list. Like in an ideal world, what would I like to get off my plate? What would I like to have this system do for me? Okay. So once you're inside the project, you're going to see that you can add what they call project instructions. And this is where you tell Claude, like who you are, what your business is, who your audience is, how you sound. Again, you can just upload your brand book as a skill and it will automatically know it. You don't really even need to like redo that there. But this is essentially like an onboarding document for a new assistant, right? So you can include things like your name, what you do, your audience, who they are, what they struggle with, what they want. your voice, how you talk, what you never say, never use M dashes. Like there's all kinds of different things you can put in there. Any specific words or phrases that you use regularly that is part of your brand language. Don't overthink it. You can just sort of like write it like you're explaining your business to somebody that you just hired. Again, if you have a brand book, you're going to want to upload that as a skill, as like one of the first things that you do. So that is going to take a lot of the heavy lifting on this. So you don't necessarily have to reiterate it per se in the project, but you can have something like, fairly short that at least gives it the context for like what that project is really for. You can also upload that ChatGPT export as a reference document here. So inside a project, you can go and find those conversations that you saved from that export, the ones that produce content that you liked, especially, and upload them into your project. And you can also upload past blog posts, email sequences, captions, anything that represents your voice at its best, like what you actually want it to sound like. And Claude's going to use that as reference. Again, you can add all of this to your brand book and just do it one time. But it's essentially reading samples of your work, learning from them. So the more quality examples you give it, the better. Like you don't want to feed it a bunch of trash because you don't want it to give you trash. So that's the important piece of it there. But I'm telling you guys, like you'll see on some like, tutorials of like how to start using Claude. They'll tell you all of this, but at the end of the day, if you've got a really awesome brand book, that's all you need to upload that as a skill. You upload it as a chat and you say, hey, I want this to be a skill that you use whenever you create content for me in any capacity. And it's going to do it in like 30 seconds. So it's pretty cool. And you can edit skills. So if you have a brand book and you decide to create a skill from it, which I definitely think you should, then you can, like, let's say you want to revise it or add to it, you can always do that. There's a little edit button and it's very quick. Okay, so setting up a scheduled task is a little bit more advanced, but it's really where you can start getting your AI to be more robust and not just use it as like every single time you go into it, you have to prompt it. Like that's going to become like a very, very, very basic way, right? And it already is. Like if you're only using it like that, only using AI as like a one-time constant thing, there's a better way that you could be using it. And this is one of them. So inside of Cowork on your desktop app of Claude, you click on Cowork, and on the left side, you're going to see the option to create a scheduled task. There's a button for it. So you can click that and see all of your scheduled tasks that you have if you've set them up, or you can create a new one from there. Also, though, in a regular thread in Cowork, you can just do the / and type schedule, and it will bring that up as well. So this is good if you are trying to set up, a simple recurring prompt, something that serves you consistently. So if you are someone who struggles to start your day, like we were talking about earlier, you can create a morning check-in task. And that can just be something simple that, where Claude at every morning sends you a list of what you tell it you want it to do, like identify the 2 to 3 priorities for the day. Again, you will need to connect it to your systems like your calendar and your Gmail. And yes, there are security risks every single time you connect any AI to anything on your computer. So just going to lay that out there. You definitely, need to make sure you read through everything. It does none of this comes without risk. Okay. But you just need to know that that's part of it. So that is a great way that you can set up anything that's like rescheduled, like your content creation, right? So, again, like I said, I just created this really amazing, skill that I gave to the people who were in the senior sprint. This is like a 6-week marketing program. It's an intensive that I'm taking photographers through from start to finish, like literally everything that we need to know about marketing to teenagers and their parents in 2026, because AI has changed everything, not just the way it's searched on Google, but also the algorithms and how you're being found. And we're also talking about in-person stuff. It's a very deep intensive. So part of this in this last week that I kind of walked them through, okay, blogging for sure. Like I've been screaming about this for a while. Blogging is the easiest way for you to create fresh SEO, but it's not going to do its job unless you know how to do it in a way that AI search can actually find you, because AI search is not the same. Like regular SEO, that what we've been taught in the last like however many years about SEO, some of those things are still accurate and some of them are going to become obsolete in the next 6 months to a year, truly. Because the way that Google, everything is shifting to AI, it's going to be pretty dramatic to our business. It doesn't matter anymore, and it will continue. It'll get less important going forward to be one of the higher ranking, like top 3 to 4 people, organic search, because AI search is aggregating hundreds of, let's say, photographers, right? Like, so let's say someone is searching for senior photographer in my area. It used to be you just get that list, right? Now you get the AI poll. The AI poll is running a fan out query of hundreds, if not thousands. They are looking for as much information as they can find very quickly for that person, that human who typed in or spoken, because a lot of people are just talking now into their phone. So we're not doing just like 4 keywords, like typing in like senior portraits in my area. Somebody might be typing in senior portraits in my area that shoots in a flower field and is in this price range or whatever. Like they're just kind of like talking into the phone. So AI is aggregating all of these results. And the way that AI pulls us up now is very different than before. And I'm not going to go into all of that because, like I said earlier in this episode, that is a whole other episode. You guys let me know if you want me to do an episode on that, because I will. It is a lot of people, a lot of you photographers, just as a side note, you're not even doing the bare minimum of what you should be doing for SEO in the way that we've known it. Because I see a lot of your websites, a lot of them, and you're not even doing that. So this AI search is really going to pull you out of the game if you are not on top of it. I'm not trying to be an alarmist here, but this is like a really big deal, you guys. If you want to be found on search on Google, you gotta know how to play that game for AI. And there's very specific, easy things that you can do, but you got to be doing them. So anyway, all that to say, this blog situation, that's one of them. Is that, yes, we've known for a while that blogs are a really great way to stay in the SEO pool, okay, and like the organic search. And we've known that Google likes fresh content. Okay, yeah, that's not changing. In fact, that is now even more important because AI search really prefers content that's like 3 months or younger, like, right? So like it's going to be looking for current, accurate, easy to find data. It's a computer. Got to think about how a computer will be looking for you. So anyway, I was walking them through some basic things that they need to have. And while I was creating this lesson plan for that week of the senior sprint and making their workbook and everything like that, I was like, you know what? I have this whole program of where I teach photographers, and I've had it for years, how to write a blog and then take that blog and just repurpose it into like 20 different pieces of content for social media so that you're not reinventing the wheel every time. So I've had that. And I'm like, why don't I just make that into an automated system so that it just does it automatically? And it did not take me that long to build this because I already had a lot of, like I said, I've been using AI for a while. I also have been teaching photographers this for a while. Like in my one-on-one classes, that's a lot of what I do. If you come to me for one-on-one work and you tell me, I want to learn how to make this business a lot more efficient using AI, we're going to focus on that. So I've been teaching people how to do these kind of things one-on-one for a while. So I built this blog repurposing tool where, like I said, all you have to do is go into a thread and type in, give me my blog content. I want to talk about blah, 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 blah. And you can say anything here. It does not have to be specific, right? You don't even have to be that good of a prompt. It can be like, I want to talk about how it's not too late to book for class of 2026. As a senior, I want to specifically be talking to the parent in this one. And I want to hit pain points that, they dropped the ball, they didn't get this done in time. That's basically what I want to talk about. And it will spit out every single thing you need. It's going to be like at least 10 different items. It'll do it very quickly. And it's going to do it in your voice if you have your brand skill uploaded as well. The last thing it spits out is a spreadsheet that you can download as a CSV file and link up to your Google Docs if you want, and all of these different things where it's going to give you ideas for Reels, for TikToks, for Threads, for all of these different platforms. It's going to give you all these different columns of like, okay, here's the caption, here's the hashtags, here's the messaging pillar. Because again, in your brand book, you should have your messaging pillars. Those are all based on that foundational work that I was talking about that you need to make sure you're doing. All of that foundational work of your purpose, your brand voice, your brand message, your mission statement, your elevator pitch, your deep, deep, deep work on your target clients. If you're a senior photographer, you have to. If you run various niches of your business, you need to do a brand book for each one of them. Like, you need to be very specific with this. So you upload that and then it just spits it out. And all you have to do is just make sure it sounds like you, which Claude is real good about doing. So as you can tell, I really love Claude. I love co-work. I'm really deep in the trenches of it right now, building multiple different skills. Like I said, I want to have a suite of these skills for photographers and creatives that you guys can just get and upload. But if you're interested in any of this, Claude skills, learning more about how to use this in your business, I also do VIP days. So if you don't have the time or capacity to sign up for a 3-month coaching container with me, like some people have been in business for a while, you've already got a lot of stuff dialed in. You just need to refine some things, or you need to learn how to do this kind of stuff. Like, make sure that you're using AI to its fullest potential in a way that makes sense for you. Okay. So I'm not teaching you, anytime you come to me for coaching, just as a side note, I'm not teaching you, hey, this is what worked for me, you got to do it like this. No, I'm a coach. And I know that there's a lot of people out there calling themselves coaches, but really they're mentors. A mentor is somebody who is going to show you what worked for them, walk you through their process, and it is a fabulous way to get from 0 to 60 very quickly, if that process aligns with you and works for your audience. But a lot of times that's not the case. Okay. Most of the time, what I do as a coach is I dig into your business. Yeah, I know it worked for me, but that's not necessarily going to work for you. Let's dig into what is going to work for you. And I also take into consideration your human design and your actual, like, deeper level nervous system situation as well, because I'm trained to help move you through living unconsciously and hypnotically into a more aware and empowered state, because you cannot create something intentional when you're running on autopilot. So, as a side note, yes, I do VIP sessions as well, where I'm going to kind of take all of this knowledge and make it very, very detailed and specific to the one thing that you need help with in your business. And a lot of that, this is a really great way to use a VIP day, is to like dig in to your AI, set up your Claude, set up the systems, set up, reschedule, like schedule tasks that are really specific to you. I'll walk you through it. You don't have to do it by yourself. So that is also an option as well. Okay, so I do want to say one more thing before I wrap this episode up, because I could talk all day about this, but I want to just make sure you guys really understand that AI is not a shortcut. I know that's what you hear everywhere. Everybody is selling something that's AI related. It's selling AI as the thing that's going to do all the work for you, save you infinite hours, replace your whole team. And yes, it can save you a heck of a lot of time. Okay. I'm not pretending that it doesn't, but here's what I've actually found after building real systems inside of Claude, training these skills, building workflows that actually work. The photographers and the entrepreneurs who get the most out of AI are the ones who already know who they are. If you are still in that phase of, I'm not really sure what kind of business I'm building, or I kind of know, but I'm not solid, it's going to be a lot harder for you. Because when you know your voice, when you know your brand, your messaging, and your audience, AI will amplify that. It takes what's already clear and it makes it faster and more scalable. And so when you don't know those things first, when you're still figuring out your positioning, like, do you even know your positioning statement? If you're still unclear on your niche, still not sure what makes you different, AI is just going to produce more confusion. So more content that doesn't convert, essentially, more words that don't really mean anything. I see this all the time. This is why most of my coaching students come into a container with me, is that they don't feel in any way connected to what they're saying. So that's why we start at the source. And that's why I keep saying that the real work is identity work. Marketing is based on your identity and how deeply connected you are to it. It was true before AI existed, before social media existed, and it's even more true now. The skills that I'm building for you guys, for my students, they're not just productivity tools, they're identity tools. They're built on a foundation of knowing who you are and making that the engine of everything that you create. So if you're going to do one thing after this episode, yes, go set up your Claude account. Yes, do the steps that we talked about, but also spend some time getting really clear on what makes your business yours. What's your voice? What do you stand for? Who specifically are you talking to? Do you talk to multiple different people? Like if you have different niches, how are you differentiating them? Because that clarity is what makes everything else work. Okay, so quick recap of where to start. Export your ChatGPT data, get your Claude Pro set up your first project with your brand context, upload your brand book as a skill, upload any reference docs that you have a real conversation, get started in it. You can do all of this in an afternoon, truly. And if you want to go deeper and you're like, I actually don't know what I want in my business, and I don't know my messaging, and I don't know my positioning statement, we can work on that inside of a one-on-one container. We can also do that in a VIP container. So just book a call with me. Let's hop on a call and see if we vibe. That is a very, very important piece of this. There's a lot of, the coaching industry is highly unregulated, you guys. Like I see people constantly coming into my coaching container who are like, I invested like thousands of dollars with this person and it wasn't good. Or I have a lot of people who say it caused trauma. Like there's a lot of coaches out there doing some pretty, I think, unethical kinds of coaching. And shocker, it's because they just called themselves a coach and they're not actually certified in it. And they don't really understand the trauma part of it. They're not trauma informed. They're not working with the unconscious mind. They're just sort of slapping some strategy and some like, yeah, girl, you got this, queen. That's not me. If you're looking for a you got this, queen coach, that is not the coach I am, just so you know. And no shade to people who are, like, if that's working for you, that's great. That's not what you're going to get with me. Yeah, I'm going to keep you motivated and I'm going to keep you on track and accountable, but it's not going to be some like rah, something I learned off the internet kind of thing. So you need to vibe with the person that you coach with, that you invest in, and you need to vet them and make sure that they have verifiable reviews, testimonials, and success, because people can say anything that they want. And with AI, you can pretty much create anything you want. I mean, we've seen it already with news stories even and propaganda, and that is just going to get worse. So please be discerning, okay? Use your critical thinking skills. If this episode was useful, do me a favor, help a girl out, share it with somebody, share it to your story and tag me, send it to a friend that you know is still just copying and pasting generic AI content and wondering why it doesn't sound like them. Because you guys, I can tell when you're just copying and pasting your AI content and it's not actually in your voice. This is a real big problem, and it's mostly ChatGPT stuff. So definitely share this with somebody you think needs it. Leave a review for the show if you haven't. It helps us out a lot. You can do that very easily at ratethispodcast.com/Renee Bowen. All the links you need are below, but I want you to always, at the very heart of every single thing that I do, every single show, everything that I do as a coach, as a photographer, as a human being on this earth, my core why is I want you to be the most unapologetic version of you that you possibly can. I want you to access your higher self. I want you to be the most you that you can, to stand in your confidence that is based on knowing at a deep level and accepting at a deep level who you are and why that is so special and why your gift needs to be shared with the world. Okay? Nobody can do what you can do. I don't care if there's 1,200 different photographers or graphic designers or whatever in your town. They're not you. And that's good news, because when you build your marketing on who you truly are and you do it in an intentional way, that is clients on repeat. That's resonance. That's being magnetic. That's what everybody talks about. That's that pocket you want to be in. So build it intentionally and with heart. Have a great rest of your week. Love you. Bye.